Thanks everyone for coming to the panel. So before we started, just a brief intro. I'm the CEO and founder of Bloom Protocol. We are building an early capital formation layer. And can each of the panelists also introduce yourself, what you are doing for the project, for the audience? Maybe start with Brady.
Okay, so hey everyone, my name is Brady from BSquared. I'm leading business development. So in crypto industry for like around 5 years, and previously with Anchor. I'm a Bitcoin believer. So let me give you a quick introduction about BSquared. So we are BTC layer 2, but we also really focus on BTC-Fi. Like we create several products like all around BTC-Fi. We work closely with many foundations to help them to boost the TVL, bootstrapping, any kind of events with the DeFi partners. So we also really focus on AI agents to help us to facilitate the tradings on chain. So happy to be here and thanks.
I'm Joey from Volante. I'm in Bitcoin for now it's almost a decade, 2017 onwards. I used to be mostly in the AI space, working for OpenAI before, and building a lot of the tools that are now spamming us left and right, so sorry about that. But we're working on payroll, we're working on stablecoin, and generally making finance better. We're based in Tokyo, and of course working across the globe.
Cool. So the first question is that we all know Bitcoin was long seen as digital gold. What's changed in the last 1 or 2 years that makes BTC-Fi, Bitcoin DeFi, a serious reality now? What kind of changes have you seen in the market? Or maybe Brady?
Yeah, I think the reason why Bitcoin is getting more attention is because Bitcoin's it's leveraged security on the Bitcoin's network, right? So I believe that different from other blockchains like EVM or EVM, you can leverage the security and join the different DeFi apps and can prevent the risk and get more attention for the holders. They just not buy and hold. They can also expand the utilities with the BTC-Fi, so they can earn the yields. They just not store it in a cold wallet. And I think two things that is important. We need to liquidity increase, and then we have to have a cross-chain bridge solutions to help us maybe across the different versions of Bitcoins across EVM or non-EVM chain. I think BSquared now we build some products, interesting products for users. They can just join our farming platforms. They can just press the button and say, hey, we want to join the different kinds of bots. And then they can earn the yields from foundations or different DeFi protocols.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Bitcoin was always very secure, but it was also very static. And just like the title says, with intelligence to Bitcoin, it's also the role of AI with Bitcoin, predicting trends, and adapting, adjusting liquidity, things like that, makes Bitcoin more adaptive. And the whole reason Ethereum took over for a large portion versus Bitcoin was this programmability, this usability that Bitcoin didn't have at the time. A few projects tried to adjust. There was this hard fork with Bitcoin Cash, for example, bringing it back to the currency use case rather than the storage use case. But it was just one thing, it wasn't that flexible. And that was the main thing of AI, making Bitcoin more flexible and adaptable, and bringing this adaptability into it, this intelligence to Bitcoin.
Yeah, just one extended question for Joey, because you mentioned you were in crypto since 2017, so I guess you definitely knew a lot of friends, OG friends that hold Bitcoin. So I'm just curious, in the past few years, what kind of changes of attitudes for these OG holders towards Bitcoin? Because I remember when BTC-Fi first started, a lot of arguments were around that those OG that only want to hold Bitcoin instead of deposits or doing more financial innovations on top of Bitcoin. So did you see any change of attitudes around yourself toward these BTC-Fi projects?
I can't speak for others, of course, but for us, we were a bunch of gamers for the most part, just derping around in forums, and for us it was almost a game to that sense. At least I barely understood anything that was going on, and it was kind of a bro thing. I was like, oh lol, you can mine a few of those things. It was like digital points. It didn't have any meaning or value per se. A few were, of course, convinced and everything, but I didn't even read or recognize about the white paper until like years later. It was just a thing you would sometimes talk about, like a crypto thing, right? We had no idea about the potential, how big it was gonna get. And then, as you would mention it on and off again, of course that made us miss out a lot, right? They would mention on how you could use it or what you could do with it, and suddenly it was worth something. I was very little, it was a couple bucks, but it went from nothing to a few bucks. So it went from like a vanity metric, some kind of points, to sort of a coupon that you could almost not redeem anywhere. It was really cumbersome to use, like some kind of 10-step promotion program or something, to online shops accepting it suddenly. And at least for me as a European, I didn't have a credit card, and it was a bunch of shops where that was actually useful, especially in like gaming and computer adjacent areas. You could buy like keys for games, serial numbers, and things like an Adobe license for a year and stuff like that with Bitcoin from people who are reselling it, of course. That's a whole different matter on how legal or okay that is, but it was a thing. It gave you more cards to play with.
I see. So regarding the Bitcoin layer 2, so we have seen momentum from Stacks, Rootstock, Botanics, and many other layer 2 projects. So I'm curious, like, what role do Bitcoin layer 2s play compared to like Ethereum or Solana DeFi ecosystems? Maybe Brady?
Yeah, I think there are a bunch of layer 2, right? And BTC layer 2, but they are all partners. Like we all solve some like specific vertical of the problems. So I think to stand out, we need like scalability without compromising security as usual. Then interoperability, like it can help us to flow the bitcoins to different blockchains to increase the liquidity, boost trading. Then I think the most important is the users. We need to follow the users to create a user-friendly interface. And I noticed like recently there are so many different platforms like embed AI agents and say, hey, you don't need a wallet. You don't need to know like hot wallet or any kind of wallet. You just need to like log in with your Google account. So that's a great example. So I think BSquared, yeah, we leverage the ZK proof technology. We are trying to like really like let the users make the traders' life easier to help them to trade like in an easier way.
Nice. For Joey, like I know that your product. I remember before, like on the panel, you mentioned that you can support many chains. So I guess like you definitely look very closely into different chains ecosystem. So I just want to know, like, from the point of a application founder, like, how would you prioritize, or what's your recent take on the layer 2 or layer 1 ecosystem? Because there are still many new ones, like stablecoin chain, etc., in the market, and how did you see the market evolve?
Yeah, there's really two big things there. The first one's usually with things like Bitcoin. I mean, you have all these technical limitations, and we work around it. We use AI, we use a bunch of things, but at the end of the day, everyone knows Bitcoin. It's the first mover. It's our Coca-Cola, right? And then there's many other chains, many bridges and interoperability protocols and whatnot. Many fancy terms, but at the end of the day, they all try to do something better rates, better transaction speed or something. Now, some don't really need like a brand value or like an easy to use interface or something like that. They just need a specific thing. They need the information first, the transaction as cheap as possible or something. But at the end of the day, for the masses, you usually have to go with something that everyone knows, that everyone's familiar with, regardless of it actually being better, right? Reminds me of that Pepsi Cola test, where like if you don't know, you choose Pepsi, or how would it go, right? It's kind of the same here. And for us too, which chain we ultimately work with is irrelevant. It's more about the result. And if some chain can do it better than another, it doesn't mean we just choose the other chain, we choose all of them. Right? The jurisdiction itself, capital itself nowadays, assets, everything, is no longer bound to a jurisdiction. It's become a Schrödinger's cat. Right? It used to be that money, capital, anything of value was bound to a place, to a jurisdiction. Now it's somewhere in the air, right? Until you claim it, until you have to declare your taxes, until you have to withdraw it, things like that. Then it comes into existence, just like Schrödinger's cat. Right? And with bridges and with layer 2s, it's similar, because jurisdictions, all coming with their different rules, are all changing as well. We have it a lot with the states, for example. One election, now with the Trump cabinet, changing everything. If we had Kamala in power, it would probably be different too. I mean, Japan, Germany, all of them. And that's not good for tech people, because whatever your religion or your politics are, you just want to create stuff. But when the rules change every few years, that's not good. AI, for example, is incredibly good at chess because there's few rules, and it's for AI. Chess is very simple. A shooter is far more complicated for AI because there's a lot of parameters, like where to aim, many players, what kinds of guns and whatnot. For AI, chess is very simple. For humans, however, it's the other thing, right? Shooter is just point and click, but then chess is super complicated. And we have the same with layer 2s too, where it sounds all good to solve an issue, but then adjusting to the jurisdiction.
I see. So for Brady, I have one question about the liquidity and adoption. So how can BTC-Fi attract meaningful liquidity? Is it incentives, exchange integrations, or user demand for yield in BTC? Because I remember, I think 2023, like there was a wave of the Bitcoin ecosystem. I also personally participate some, but somehow I feel like the hype is a bit quieting down as the incentives lower down. So how do you think of that, and how do you think will be the main drivers to make the demand sustainable?
Yeah, I have to say you're right. Like the yields can compare with like maybe stable coins both, but yeah, I would say it's still good. Like we try to expand it. I would say the incentive always first. Like it kick off and then the demand sustain. Like because like when I talk to hedge funds or maybe like institutional investors, like they have more like interested in like BTC-Fi products, and they all care about two things, like how much API I need to provide and the risk like they have, because maybe they have like a partial percentage, like they do the arbitrage on sets, or they do some like maybe 30% on chain, like on DeFi. So I would say incentive go first, and then the exchange integrations amplify. And still, the security is a crucial role. Like we need a secure custodian to help us to make a low risk pool, and then we can convince the LP, make them happy to say, hey, we have the yields maybe like around 5%, and yeah, lower than stable coins, but it's more safer.
I see. So for Joey, like I think like one relevant question will probably be on the adoption side. So I guess you probably, as a payment company, you definitely work with many different clients on the application side. So in your view, what you have seen, like how do they make their liquidity or user engagement sustainable? Can you share a bit about that?
Yeah, one of the core concerns is always how synthetic it all is. Exchanges, social media, users, communities, Discord servers, 80% plus, like huge numbers essentially, are usually just synthetic bots, or even just real people who barely log in, just claiming stuff. It's very tough, and it's understandable if you think about like, do you follow your local 7-Eleven's Instagram profile or something like that? You just go there to buy your stuff. So it comes down to usability and how good it is. And that's usually the key aspect. those numbers, they don't really matter that much. It really comes down back to the what's better, what's faster, what's cheaper. And then when you talk to investors or VC funds or something, they don't even want to see the decks anymore. We've shown them too much. They don't want to hear the explanations on why it's better either. They don't even want to know how many users you have because it's probably all inflated and synthetic anyways. So when they ask about your liquidity or your market cap or your capital or anything, they almost want to skip half the conversation and come down to how much is there really and what do you really convert or what's your actual liquidity. And that's a whole different conversation.
I see. So next question is about the use cases beyond trading. So beyond swaps and lending, what new use cases do you see for Bitcoin DeFi, stable coins, payments, identity, or something else? And maybe Joey, you can share more about on the payment side, and Brady, you can share more on the DeFi arena.
You go first. Okay. Yeah. I want to show like payment side because we also work with one project called ShareX. They want to reshape the sharing economy, like especially focus on Japan. They are a top tier sharing power bank company. So we also happen to like leverage our like Bitcoins as a payment, can happen to pay Bitcoins and then borrow the power banks or any kinds of sharing devices. And of course, like there's an increased trust in the Bitcoin ecosystem. So in the DeFi, I would say, yeah, it's a good sign. Like institutional investors, large entities, they're more willing to allocate their capitals, or they have the capital reserve in Bitcoins. When I attend, like WebEx, is amazing. Like there are so many Web2 companies, they make the Bitcoin as a reserve. Yeah, so I think it's a good sign.
Yeah, because Bitcoin has also become a political asset now, right? We've seen this reversal. We talked about it in the States too at the big Bitcoin thing, where before it was all about, well, it's the governments doesn't have their fingers in it and all. And now we have actual governments building huge Bitcoin reserves, leading events. There's an official one in El Salvador right now, right? There's actual politicians backing it and billions of dollars and everything. The Bitcoin space in the last couple of years has actually started to be very welcoming. They're almost pro-government. They want politicians to talk about it. They want it to hold it, which is kind of ironic and the opposite of what it was a couple of years ago, right? Now, whether that's good or bad is a different discussion, but it's certainly driven a lot more, let's say, users across, right? Like across, not just some random social media profiles, but reality is an industry. So you'll have a random logistics company suddenly accepting Bitcoin and talking about it. You'll have a random factory involved in it, even though they're in no way needing to do so, or in no way connected to it, right? Things that are completely offline suddenly taping their QR codes and accepting Bitcoin is huge. But what's even bigger is just the regulatory stuff catching up. That was one of the biggest fears, that they would change the rules after the fact and not make any rules, and there's this huge exodus. So having leaders in big countries like Japan or Germany or the States putting it into legal paperwork, that's the real big change. We still have like 100 years of halving, so we have 100 years more to go to change the rules.
Let's see. So the next question is about AI. It feels like nowadays everything is related to AI. So even in the Bitcoin panel, we talk about AI. So I think the first question is broader, like where do AI and Bitcoin naturally fit together in your view? Is it like in the use case, like payment, security, DeFi, or something else? Or maybe it can be as simple as during your daily work, did you start to use AI tools to optimize your workflow? Maybe just give us some example. So maybe like one example for our project to be related to AI is that we use AI to filter the different missions that the users offer. My point is just to show that AI and crypto has a lot of crossroads.
Yeah, in short, like AI is in our roadmap, and it does like help my life get easier, and of course the traders. So it can like filter different signals and help you to choose the band strategies. Of course, like maybe there are like multiple bots or like different operators, providers, but you can just use AI agents to choose.
Yeah, AI is huge, certainly. But let me put it that way. AI is less curious than a focus hungry. So AI is not intelligence in itself, but AI is a translator and an interpreter, incredibly useful. So it does predict, like you say, but we don't even notice how much it's being used. One of the biggest examples, Google, for example, everyone uses Google. Nobody knows how Google works, talking about the average person, right? But we all use it. And now AI is everywhere as well. It's been everywhere, right? Everything you see and almost everything you think is influenced by it, from social media feeds to random headlines. You don't even know what's written by AI at this point, from deepfakes and all different discussion. But what's really bringing AI down to Bitcoin and DeFi as such a useful item is this translation aspect, right? Think about code, for example, thousands upon thousands of lines. Even the most experienced coders have a tough time reading through all of it and noticing everything, right? And an AI isn't like a person, doesn't read their way. A huge, long Wi-Fi password is analyzed and memorized in a second. It recognizes patterns. You can ask AI to find something inside a million lines of code instantly, or give you suggestions that you wouldn't think about because you couldn't hold all this context, right? If you had a person that could live forever and ever, thousands of years, with infinite memory or something like that, you'd probably have something akin to that. Now, that doesn't necessarily make it smart, it just gives it a huge volume. And all of that is packed into a tiny little bit of an engine, similar to how we have a smartphone in our phone now when we had a computer room before, some 50 years ago, right? And AI is, because of that, so fundamentally useful in everything.
I see. So this is one extended question for Joey, because I saw the profile you used to work at OpenAI. So I think one like questions that a lot of founders in Web3 and in Web2 alike, we were kept asking, like with AI, like what things will be remained? Because as a founder, like time changes, right? And we need to think what will stay as the time goes. And like for us, our angle is the community and branding will stay. But I'm curious in your view, like what else do you think like will stay in this market, and that is also helpful for all of us to know.
Yeah, that's a tough one, and it gets philosophical there because, frankly, I could tell you that there will always be things, and as many jobs as die, there will be new jobs coming up, but it's only partially true because at some point you have a similar problem than, say, the military has. The military wants to get as many people as possible, right? So they don't care how smart you are or how pretty you are, they just want to get as many able bodies that are safe to use. But even they have to set limits, right? They cannot just accept anyone because at some point it gets dangerous. I think it was IQ 80 or something like that, I don't remember. And with AI, you have a similar thing. It will take jobs, it will replace a lot of things, and it will get exponentially worse. Right now we have the Chinese room argument, where AI doesn't truly understand, it's not generally intelligent at all. But there's a reason you have talks about universal income or things like integrating AI into us with chips and things like that. Arguably, we are startups with our phones in our pockets, and the world's knowledge at our fingertips, must put it that way, I believe, right? But keeping up with AI is a different matter. And AI is human-based flawed because we made it, right? We put our bias and our beliefs into it when we build it, when we fed it our context and knowledge through internet and databases. And there's different engines and all that, but they're all human built, so they come with all of our flaws to some aspect. And it gets very dangerous when it starts making decisions without our interference. And especially when we can no longer understand its decisions. That's the biggest problem we have with AI in general, and why AI is able to take so many jobs unpredictably. You have cases where, for example, with cashiers, say fast food industry, AI didn't take the jobs in that sense. When you had all these kiosks type in, you still needed people to accept things. in person, but suddenly the revenue went up because everyone was buying extra fries because the question was always asked because the AI knew it would always have to ask and so on. It gets dangerous. Frankly speaking, there's going to be a cutoff, and a lot of people will have trouble. And it comes down to the governments to step up there. It really is that way.
Yeah, I think that's also why it becomes harder to do a company or a startup in this market, because people always say that maybe after you build it, maybe 1 or 2 months, AI will do something better or similar. So knowing what will stay is actually matters. So we don't have much time. So I want to make the last questions about your own project. Maybe each of you can share what's the roadmap or plan for your respective projects, so that people can know what to expect and what to be excited about. Maybe Brady?
Sure. So we have a new narrative, like we want to help the users to put the bitcoins in different AI agents' pocket. So AI agents can help the users to accelerate the transactions on chain, make their lives easier, choose the better strategies, and we also create some agent platforms, signal platforms that can help different agents to communicate each other's, and then the users can also train their AI models on platforms and also earn a yield. So I believe BTC-Fi plus AI will be also still the future.
We want to bring back daily salaries. Used to be the norm that you get paid every day, not at the end of the month. That's what we want to bring back. That doesn't necessarily require any specific chain. We have the technology since we have computers, essentially. Back in the day, you had factories, hundreds of people line up to collect their money at the end of their shift, right? But then have different kinds of pay, there's a foreman and whatnot, and they all make a huge line, and they have to count it, and it takes forever, right? So we put it into once per month, and that's kind of become the norm almost everywhere, with a few exceptions being weekly. And it's not good for people, because you have 30 days of inflation, you have 30 days of not deciding what to do with your money. If you need your pay early after 2 weeks of work because you had an accident with your car or something, now you don't have access. You already generated the revenue, the money, and unless you're some kind of freelancer, it's almost universal. You have to wait a month, and it's an artificial barrier. And in the meantime, you suffer from money being worth less than it was before. The company can use the money in the meantime, which doesn't seem fair because it's actually not their money anymore, and it's just unnecessary, and it's not good. We researched that a lot with Bertschler and many big companies. I looked into that, and it actually makes more money when you pay people daily. And we have the tech to do so. It's really not that hard. That's what we're doing. Every corporation that works with us, their employees, their workers, they get paid every day. And we, depending on the jurisdiction, give them more freedom and choices too. They can get paid in Taiwanese dollars, but they can also get paid in other fiat currencies or stable coins or Bitcoins. Really gives them flexibility and choice back. Right? We're adults. We should be able to spend our money if we want to and how we want to. Removes those layers.
Yeah, thank you for coming. Thank you.
Thank you.